Hello, my name is Sarah Sloan, and you're listening to The Sarah Sloan Show. How are you guys? Hope you're doing okay. But you let me know, okay? Just go crazy on those comments. Just typing away. Man, I keep on thinking about with typing. I'm watching this show, Columbo, and they used typewriters in that show. It was like in the 70s, 80s, that time range. And that's fascinating and so inefficient. And I'm so glad that we have technology that's better. I really am grateful for that because I don't like it otherwise. I don't like it. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've talked to you guys, and I've missed it. I've missed you guys a lot. There's been so much that's happened in the world. And so we'll try to talk about some of it, and I hope it's interesting. And if it's not, I'm sorry. Because, things are going on in the world. And the last thing you need is a little Gen Zer bringing you down. No, I'm younger than that. I think I'm the new one. Are we back to A? Because we finished with Z, and now we're on to A. I'm probably going to be B. I'm such a little baby. So pathetic. Who knows? Okay, so first story, obviously there's a lot happening with this. So the story is obviously Russia-Ukraine fighting. That's been happening now for over a year. It's been going on. This war has been going on. And there's different reasonings on why this war started. I think part of it was Ukraine, potentially joining NATO and Russia not liking that. And it seemed like there were some countries that were trying to help influence that to happen, almost waking up the giant to fight them. So it was almost like, did we have a part to play in this war happening? Who knows? Different things along those lines. And then, of course, there's just been back and forth. And then Zelensky, he's the president of Ukraine, and he was an actor. He was a comedian. Well, he still is. I'm acting like he's dead. He's not dead. And he's really gotten famous. There's so many celebrities that go to visit him. And we immediately took the Ukrainian side of the war and flags everywhere on social media. Instead of your pronouns, zuzubza, zezuze, zabadade, now it's Ukrainian flag. Or if you're really cool, you're going to do both. Are you cool? Do you want to prove that you're cool? Because I don't know how cool you are. What are your pronouns? I don't know what your pronouns are. Are you going to tell me your pronouns? Because otherwise, I don't know how to talk to you at this point. I have no words for you. I have nothing to say to you. Just tell me your pronouns. Because at this point, I don't even know what mine are. Anyway, Ukrainian flag, very popular to have all over the place. And kind of the recent thing that's been happening, back and forth. Maybe Ukraine is winning, maybe Russia's winning. And we don't even know what's going on at this point. But there is kind of a later development happening. And so there are these mercenaries that Putin kind of hired, and it's called the Wagner, basically like the Wagner mercenary group. And their leader, I'm only doing this because it's going to be fun, because I'm going to embarrass myself. His name is Yevgeny Prigozhin. I think that's how you say it. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, though. Flashback, if you ever want to know my most embarrassing moment. Belarus. Called it Belarus. Like a walrus. That was a low moment for me, but things have gotten better, I think. But no, I'm pretty sure I got his name wrong. But anyway, pretty much the point of this mercenary group was to fight for Russia, but then at least not have that label. So, oh my gosh, this group did this. Well, we don't actually know. I don't think it was, led by Putin. It was a mercenary group. Oh, okay. It was just a mercenary group. It wasn't Putin, but Putin literally enables these people pay. No one really knows exactly how it works. If there's payment, how much the payment is, all that. But pretty much that is what it is. And right now, this Prigozhin guy is getting more and more frustrated with the happenings of the war, Ukraine killing a lot of his men. And he's been complaining on social media about it, Telegram, YouTube, things along those lines. And he's even saying, we're going to get my group and we're going to Moscow to kind of deal with this, to bring awareness to this. And if anyone tries to stop this, they will be harmed, hurt. I'm paraphrasing, okay? This is not actual quoting. I wish right now I could have like a video of him speaking in Russian and then me in the background like translating what he says. And I'm just like, Putin makes me angry. I do not like what Putin does. That'd be so fun. But alas, that's not going to happen. But, they're going there. Putin's angry. He's saying this is treason. This is so evil. And then Prigozhin is like, no. I know I'm saying his name wrong. He's like, don't say this is treason. We fight for the motherland, all this stuff. And so it's just like a tit for tat. And then now, apparently they're halting. They're not going to go anymore. Because what was going to happen, if they go over there, Russia's fighting Russia. That's good news for Ukraine. And that's good news for everybody who's worried about this war. It's the way it ends. But now if they're halting, potentially, this is latest developments. Like, this is happening like as I'm speaking about it. So I don't actually know for sure. So I'm curious to see what happens with all this. But if you want to know this latest developments of the Russia-Ukraine war, I'm your girl. I know everything that's happening. Hey, Putin. Yeah, hey, talk to me, man. So what's happening next? Are you and Zelensky going to go at it? All right, talk to me. Oh, speaking of which, there was a little fight as well that potentially, I think it actually is going to happen. Mark Zuckerberg, Meta CEO, Facebook, and then what's his name? Elon Musk. They're going to potentially fight because they're just getting on each other's nerves. But the thing is, okay, so Elon Musk is like 6'2", and Mark Zuckerberg, I think he's 5'8", 5'7". But the thing is, Zuckerberg, he's been fighting. Like, he's really gotten good at jiu-jitsu. How do you say that? Height. Let's see. Mark Zuckerberg, height. Come on. Okay, it says 4 inches shorter. Oh, he's 5'7"? Yeah, 5'7". Okay. Wow. I thought he was a little taller than that. Mark Zuckerberg is shorter than I thought. But he's pretty jacked. He's really fit. And Elon Musk, he's not. He doesn't really work out. So I want to know how that would work. But if it's pay-per-view, I don't do pay-per-view. Never have, never will. Because it's a pay-per-view. I don't want to pay-per-view. I'm not interested. There's some things I hold a hard line on. I'm not going to pay for that. I'll pay for this. I won't pay for that. It's super random with me. Like, I've bought very expensive things, and then other things I'm like, nope, I'm only going to Walmart for that. It's weird. It's really, really weird. But that's besides the point. Okay, another interesting thing. Obviously, we all know June. This is Pride Month. Pride is a sin. It's not good. Michael Knowles made a great point about that. He's like, that's, a super deadly sin. I think it's the deadliest sin. And yeah, we're like, pride. Gay pride, trans pride, all that pride. Asexual pride. And, it goes against what I believe. I believe that God, in his perfect image for what he has for his people, he wants a man and a woman to have many children and to stay together in a wholesome marriage. And then those kids, they have wonderful marriages with the opposite sex, and then so on and so on and so on. I'm very grateful for that kind of a unity. It allowed me to be created today. I wouldn't be alive if my mother had decided that she doesn't want to be with a man and my father had decided he doesn't want to be with a woman. So I'm very grateful that they decided not to be homosexuals. I'm very thankful for that because I value my life. You may not, but I value it. So that is God's way. And, then there's other paths to creating a family, artificial insemination. So 2 men, they could pay me to have a baby for them, and then they have their baby forever. And we could do family a lot of different ways, but there's a perfect way, and that's the way that God wants. And then, of course, there's a lot of ways where it was almost a perfect way, and then you go off track, you divorce your spouse, and now the single mother has 5 kids and the father's out of the picture. Or, something tragic could happen and widow, the father dies and single mother having to handle all these kids. So the perfect image that God has for his children, for the world, it's not always going to happen. And it's a shame whenever it doesn't. But there's some that you can't help, and then others that one would argue you can. But yeah, I always argue, what if the whole world was gay? What if we were all gay? I wonder what would happen with that. Oh, there wouldn't be a human race. There wouldn't be people. Like, we wouldn't have a population. Huh. And yeah, there's, we have to eat, we have to drink. There's good ways to eat and drink. There's bad ways to eat and drink. I decide to always drink water and to drink a good amount of water, or I could decide to drink only soda or only alcohol and be drunk, or be, have way too much sugar, get way bigger. Always eat donuts versus always eating, healthier foods, chicken, vegetables, whatever it might be. So there's a right and a wrong way to do everything. But the thing is, there's not a lot of months dedicated to sin. And Pride Month is one of those months that's just completely dedicated to sin. And I, as a Christian, I will never in my life want to celebrate sin. Doesn't mean I'm not a sinner. I sin all the time. I make mistakes all the time. We all know that. We make mistakes all the time. Every one of us. We're all sinners. But to celebrate it and to be so gleeful and delightful in it and parading about in your sin and for other people's sins, I will not take part in that. So, Pride Month. Yeah, that's a little bit of a reasoning on why I do not celebrate Pride Month as a Christian. And I never will. There's some things where I'm like, I never say never. It's one of these things where I'm like, I will say never, and I will mean never. And then there's a lot of companies that they're just so obsessed with Pride Month. Oh my gosh, we got to change our logos, to have the rainbow flag. And then, but you see their same profile in the Middle East. And for the whole month of June, they don't change it to the rainbow flag because their Middle East audience, customers, whatever it may be, they don't approve of that. And so then, well, if you're so prideful about it, why aren't you prideful about it in the Middle East? It's interesting. And that's really all you have to know. They're not really serious about pride. They're just serious about doing whatever will please the masses. And so that's why you see the American, the U.S. What's one company that's doing this? I don't know, actually. It's always hard for me to remember. And I've tried to unfollow a lot of companies if I see them doing this. Like, for example, last night, the Bath and Body Works Corporation, they, I know that the majority, I know like probably 95% of companies are supporting pride things. Whenever you shove it in my face and do all this other stuff, that's whenever I'm just like, you're annoying now. You're just really trying to rub it in my face. So with Bath and Body Works, this big parade and this like 3-minute video dedicated all to pride. I unfollowed them immediately, and I'll just have to think about ever going there again. I'm not sure, but then I'm like, okay, well, wherever I go to get my candles or lotions and all that, they probably support pride too. So it's hard because it's like, what do you do? I could stink all the time. Yeah, maybe that'd be better. I could have pride about stinking. We could dedicate the month of July to that. I don't know. Let's think about this here. Another company that I felt like went way too far, North Face, the North Face. So yeah, I don't think I'll probably buy from them again. I think they went too far. They had this ad on their Instagram, and it was this person in drag, Patagonia. I think that's what. Yeah, Patagonia, which is interesting. Like, I don't think Patagonia would ever do, the company Patagonia would ever have a person in drag named the North Face. Like, it just seems kind of weird, but it is what it is. And so then they do this ad where it's like, we're coming out in nature, like all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people did not like this post on Instagram. They were doing negative comments. I'm never buying from you, North Face. I'm burning all my stuff. All this stuff. And then Patagonia was just going off on them, just saying, oh, really? Well, guess what? I don't care that you don't want to buy from them again. Or some other people were like, don't burn your stuff. Give it to me. I'll wear it. Which, no. I'm more of the mentality, I'm not going to burn what I have. I'm not going to throw away what I have already. I'm just never going to buy from you again. I already invested money. I'm not going to lose that. But I can understand the argument for burning all the stuff. But no, I'm not going to burn it. And it's so sad too, because they have really good backpacks, the North Face does. And so I'm really bummed about it. I love their backpacks. I just recently got one, before it's happened. But here's the sad part. I went on their YouTube channel. Wait, sorry, let me backtrack. Okay, sorry. On Instagram, with the comments that were super negative and everything, they deleted it after a few days. All the comments were no longer on there, and they disabled the comments. And so I thought that was very fascinating. Sorry. Now back to this. On their YouTube channel, I look, and they did this last year, but I don't remember seeing it on Instagram. But they did it on YouTube, and they had a very similar. It wasn't as colorful and as overt, but it was still with Patagonia. This drag person in drag, and they had a commercial and everything, and so I was like, how did I miss this? And of course there were a lot of negative YouTube comments. This was a good quote. Hopefully it's actually from Warren Buffett. I didn't actually do the work to check. Warren Buffett supposedly said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. And I thought that was a very good quote. So cheers to you. And then a lot of people said, as a longtime hiker, camper, and alpine mountaineer, I'm happy to announce I'll be looking elsewhere for my future gear. Now, the replies are always interesting on these things. Okay, one of them said, take the queer out of gear. Someone put, this certainly helps narrowing down my options for a winter jacket. Thanks. Okay. So then this other one says, oh, speaking of pride, I can proudly say that I have never bought a single article of clothing from your brand, and now I have a solid reason not to. Thanks. Someone else said, I've been rocking North Face since childhood. Looks like I finally have a reason to drop it and try something new. Oh, it's funny. North Face said, yo, Target, hold my Bud Light. This is how you do it. People always say, hold my beer. I can top whatever you just did or said. So people did not like it. So let's play a little bit. And sorry for any harm that this does to you.
Nature lets you be who you are.
Even gay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are cordially invited to the Summer of Pride with my friends at the North Face. We're traveling all the gay across America, and everyone's invited. That means you.
Me.
And you.
Hello.
And you.
Wow.
Not you, though. You're too cute. Okay, just kidding. You can come. Put on your boots and come out. Side with us. See you there, besties. Don't you think this is all a little intense? I mean, look at you. You're in a literal tent right now. But no, this event will not be intense. Everyone is invited. Everyone is welcome. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, so that was intense. Yeah, basically, as you can see, or if you didn't see, carabiner earrings. The bottom of the dress is like a tent. So definitely a lot of thought put into this ad. Very, like beautiful imagery and everything. But of course, just super trying to push a certain message. No one would ever advocate for this for straightness, Oh, super straight. And the thing is, yeah, even Michael Knowles was talking about this. He really focuses on language. He works for the Daily Wire, if you've never heard of him. He really focuses on language, and he was saying that, why do we even have to call ourselves straight? We're just normal. So we shouldn't even have to have a label for ourselves. Just because you guys have a label doesn't mean that we have to. So even using the word straight is kind of giving in to the messaging, the homosexual messaging, trying to other us, trying to make us different. Oh, well, you're straight. No, I'm just normal. You're something, though. Yeah. So yeah, if you ever want to go on the North Face Instagram and look at that, get ready for a doozy, because apparently it's going to get better every year. But it was crazy. I kept on checking back for a few days, and all these people said they were going to unfollow. And, I think it was 5.3 million followers, I think I saw at the time. And I kept on checking, and it still stayed at 5.3. So I don't think it was really changing that much. So interesting. But people are getting a little sick of the Pride Month. It's just, at the time, whenever people were advocating for gay marriage and everything, they said, hey, we just want to be safe. We just want this. This is all we want. No, it's not all you want. You want more, and you want more, and you want this to take over our world. You want us to accept your language. Now we're, I'm a cis woman. No, leave me alone. I'm done. Okay, and then the other story that I feel even a lot of people that are normally not interested in the news were kind of paying attention to this story. It was the submersible, the Titan. And this was a small submarine-like mechanism that people would pay $250,000 to go down and see the Titanic, the ruins. And it apparently had been down a few times. And it's super small, but it was made of carbon fiber. This engineer made it, and he would take people down with him. And so, yeah, they had a few successful trips, but for whatever reason, this trip didn't go very well. They couldn't find the submersible with some people. Obviously, if you were paying $250,000 to go on this, you were very wealthy. And there was even a father with his son, and the son didn't really want to go, but he just did it to make his father happy. So they spent $500,000, with the two of them going down there. And then, from what it looks like, the thing imploded under the 4 kilometers of pressure of being underwater in this small thing made out of carbon fiber. So super sad. A lot of people didn't know if, it was days of waiting. Are we going to see this thing come to the surface? What's going to happen? And it was kind of what was scary about it, though, in my mind, was people's reaction to this. A lot of people were just making all these jokes about it. And all they wanted to focus on was how it was a bad idea to go down there in the first place. And this is stupid. And they signed all these forms, so it's on them. I understand that. Obviously, I wouldn't do it. And I think you watching, you wouldn't have done it. A lot of people wouldn't have done it. But obviously, there were enough people that had done it. And if nothing had happened this time, another year, more people would have done it. I don't know how often they did these excursions, but they did it often enough that it was kind of a thing. So it doesn't matter if the way that a person died was stupid. It still can be sad. And I think I really just saw the heart of the masses in comments and everything else, that people are just mean. And, everyone's mean. I'm mean all the time, but just cold-hearted. And it was just really gross to see that. And the fact that these people had a lot of money too, it was almost like nobody cared that these rich people died. Oh, some billionaires died. So sad. Well, I don't really care how much money you have. If you die, you die. And then other people try to bring up arguments of well, there were a lot of these poor people that died trying to cross our country illegally, and nobody even knows about that story. And so why doesn't that matter? And then, my answer to that is, okay, well, I'm not a journalist, and I don't look into every last story. And so I'm presented with what the mass media talks about. And so that's what I'm going to know. And so if the mass media doesn't think that story is important, that's not my fault. But guess what? A bunch of poor people dying trying to get into this country, guess what? That is sad too. And I also personally think that the way that they died, is pointless. That they didn't have to die that way, just like these people in the submersible did not have to die that way. there's actually a lot of analogy similarities in the situations that you can look at. So, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's so sad that the son didn't, want to hurt his dad's feelings and lost his life in the process. So, and apparently it was being driven by like a $30 Logitech controller, which is so crazy to me. So crazy. So, yeah, I didn't ever want to go into a submarine, but now now I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be doing that. But the families involved and everybody else, I just pray that they're comforted in this time. Just a useless, senseless death that just didn't have to happen. And yeah, maybe it could teach others, let's just leave the Titanic down there. Let's just not do that, because we don't need any more death. These aren't the first deaths that have happened from people looking at the Titanic. And then obviously the Titanic brought a lot of death in and of itself. So it's down there. Let's just keep it down there, please. So yeah, very, very sad. But yeah, this was taking over the news for days and days. Let's see. Okay, let's go to the verse. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about, this is in 2 Kings 5, Naaman's leprosy. And so Naaman in the Bible, it says a commander of the army, and commander of the army of the king of Syria. So pretty high up there, and just people really respected him. But then he got leprosy, and he just didn't know what to do. And this girl that he had taken captive in a war against Israel, this little girl, she was kind of a slave to Naaman's wife. And then she saw what was happening, and then she said, hey, there's this prophet who could totally help you and maybe could get him healed of his leprosy. Naaman healed from the leprosy. So, but that in and of itself is just a really good story, just because a good example to learn from. Someone that did great harm to you, took you away from your family, took you away from your homeland. You should hate that person. You should only want the worst for that person. But even in that situation, she wanted what was good for him. Like that, my work is done. That's the coolest thing that can happen there. And so then they give the message over to Elisha, the prophet. And Elisha says, okay, what do you want? And then he says, go in the Jordan River 7 times, wash yourself in there. And that's a very filthy river. Imagine like going into a swamp. And you're just like, ugh, my gosh, it's disgusting. And Naaman was just like, can I go in clean waters, please? Like, why do I have to go in this? I'm not doing it. It's stupid. And then one of his workers said, okay, if the prophet like told you to do something like super difficult, you would have done it. And whenever he just tells you something easy to do, something simple, you won't do it. And so then he does it. And whenever he came out after the 7th time, he was clean and smooth like a little baby. And it was a miracle from God, that God did that for him. So cool. And God could still do those miracles today. But then one of Elisha's servants, Gehazi, he is obviously frustrated that Naaman's trying to give Elisha a payment. And Elisha's basically saying, like, I can't receive a payment from something that God did. So, no, I don't need your payment. And Gehazi says, goes later, and then he says, oh, hey, my master, he wanted me to come. And, they say, indeed, just now 2 young men of the sons of the prophets have come to me from the mountains of Ephraim. Please give them a talent of silver and 2 charges of garments. And then Naaman said, this is verse 23, please take 2 talents. And he urged him, bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of garments, and handed them to 2 of his servants, and they carried them on ahead of him. And when he came to them, the citadel, he took them from their hand, stored them away in the house, and he let them go, and they departed. And now he went in and stood before his master. And Elisha said, "Where'd you go, Gehazi?" Imagine that, just like, ugh. And then he said, "Your servant didn't go anywhere. What are you talking about?" And then Elisha said, "Did not my heart go with you when the man turned back from his chariot to meet you? Is it time you receive money and to receive clothing, olive groves and vineyards, sheep, oxen, male and female servants?" And then verse 27, "Therefore the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and your descendants forever." And he went out from his presence leprous, as white as snow. Ugh. So it's so bad. Imagine that. Yeah, just a opportunity to be able to take, an opportunity to be able to get something extra from somebody. And you see it. Like, imagine you have the opportunity to have some billionaire give you $1 million. It's just right there. $1 million. Oh. But you feel that you shouldn't do it. But then another part of you still wants to do it. And how hard it is to resist the temptation. I don't know what I would have done in that situation. I can understand Gehazi wanting that money and the possessions and everything else. I totally understand that. So no judgment from me to Gehazi, but I know that what he did was just evil. And when you do something wrong, he did something wrong, then he has to continue to do more wrong. He has to lie to Elisha then. A wrong leads to another wrong, to another wrong, to another wrong. And that's why it's usually just best to not do it wrong in the first place. To just stop before you go down that path. Ugh. And then the deeper you go down, then whenever you finally have to tell the truth, it's just, it's a lot more painful. So, yeah, that story is just always so interesting to me and so important, I think, for all of us, because, yeah, we always have the opportunity to tell the truth or lie. Yeah, I remember years and years and years ago, decades, centuries ago. I'm older than I look. Surprise. And I was in my science class, I think it was like junior high or something. And we had to learn the scientific root words or whatever. So like A means this. I honestly don't remember any of it, but I was really good at the time. And I knew exactly what each part of the word meant. And so then you had to, you kind of, on the test, you had to pick one and then choose the option, multiple choice kind of a thing. And so it was super easy. So I got it all. Like, I finished it in a second. And then this guy behind me, the teacher like leaves for a minute. This guy behind me, he's just like, "Hey, does anyone know this one?" And I was like, for whatever reason, I was just like, "Oh yeah, it's this." And then the teacher comes back, like, as someone's talking, he's like, "Hey, I heard voices. What's going on?" And then the guy, he's just like, nothing. And then I couldn't stop myself. I was just like, I told him what the answer was. And then he was like, "Thank you for telling me the truth." And then he looks at the guy. He's like, "You lied." And then he basically pulled us back behind, whenever class finished. And he said, "I will give you a chance to redo it, but you won't get multiple choice. Like, you have to just like write it all from memory." And so I did it. Like, it was like the weekend later. I did it and I got 100 still, but I hated that. It was awful. It was awful. It was a terrible feeling, even though like obviously it's not the biggest deal in the world. It was wrong what I did. But I'm glad that I didn't continue to lie and continue to lie and continue to lie and continue to lie, because that really, there's no respecting that. At least he was actually grateful that I told the truth after doing something wrong. So if you're going to do something wrong, at least own up to it. And that was a decent example of me doing that. But obviously I shouldn't have told the guy the answer in the first place. So, crazy, I know. But yeah. Dang, it's so weird how different stories, like, they come to mind, So crazy. Okay, so those containers. Everyone's been talking about them, those Stanley cups, and they're these huge cups, and they could be used as a weapon for young women to beat any man that's being inappropriate with them. Those cups are interesting to me. And I was telling my friends the other day, I said, I don't really understand why there's such a mass appeal, because it seems like it's just obnoxious, difficult to carry. Just you have to lug this sucker around everywhere. And then there's a straw. It's a straw in a metal container, and usually it's like 40 ounces, so super heavy if it's filled with water, ice water, whatever. But the straw, if it's always just hanging out there, how's that sanitary? All day, the straw is just exposed. Someone could touch it. Dust obviously goes all over it. Versus like most bottles, you have a lid and you can screw over where you actually drink. And it protects it from dust or someone touching it, whatever. So, yeah, I just thought it was fascinating how all these people, like, it's the most popular cup, and I think it's like, gosh, what is it, $50? Super expensive. And yeah, a bunch of people are getting knockoffs now because at this point. But yeah, a cup I'm thinking about getting, we'll see. We'll see, though. It's just those thermoses from back then. Like, you think the 70s, they had a thermos. And so, obviously, the cap can double as a cup. And so then you pour the hot liquid into the cap, and then you drink that. And then whenever you want more, you pour more into the cap. And I think before they were used all the time, before all this like cup technology came out. And it just seems like really interesting. But then it's also like, usually they come very, very large, where I've seen them like 60 ounces. And then they have like a, like this travel handle on the side of it because it's so heavy. And so then it kind of gets obnoxious at that point. And then, but some of them, they're too tiny. And then it's like, okay, well, I need a little bit more than that. And so it seems like, I think, this is my opinion based on what my research of looking at it. I feel like 25 to 40 ounces is probably the sweet spot. And then if you're going smaller, it's just like, what's the point? But yeah, it's cool seeing it. Because back to that Columbo show where I was talking about the typing at the beginning with the typewriters. It's a really good show, by the way. It's like 2 hours long per episode, or like an hour and a half, but really good mystery show. And basically, it's not like a whodunit. It's a, how's he going to figure out, how is he going to pin the crime on the person? It shows you what they did, everything, but you can't easily, without proof, catch him in the crime. And so Columbo somehow finds a way to do it. Sometimes it's a little like, would it actually hold up in court? But still, it is fascinating to watch. But anyway, sorry. Columbo always wants coffee, and he always is carrying around this thermos. And so it's just like kind of got me inspired. So I don't know why I was even talking about that. What is wrong with me? My mind is like all over the place. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Okay, and then another frustration for me lately has been just like, all the photos that you take on your iPhone year after year after year, that builds up in storage, and then you have no storage left, and then it is just so frustrating. So I've been trying to like transfer it onto a hard drive, and then you're just like scared, like what if like this hard drive ends up giving me trouble, like, and then this hard drive breaks, and then I've lost all the photos. But I have to have space on my phone. You won't believe this, but I have 115 gigabytes of photos and videos, and that was after me doing a lot of work to get rid of some. And my phone only holds 128 gigabytes. So it's just like getting frustrating. And some photos I'm like, yeah, this is easy. I want to delete it. But there's some stuff where I'm like, I don't want to delete this. And then I was putting it onto this hard drive. And then there was an issue with the hard drive. I don't know if I messed up or something. Like I didn't eject properly. But then I had to delete everything. But then I was like, okay, but I haven't really deleted everything on my phone. So I can still add it on again. It's scary. It's a scary, scary thing. Like here's me looking afraid. That was it. That's the best you're going to get. Oh, man. I don't know. It really does bother me. Oh, I said scaring, and then that reminded me. It was so funny the other day. I was walking down these stairs with coworkers, and then it's those kind of stairs that just like it winds down. And so you can like kind of hide behind like a corner and then scare someone. I kid you not. Going down these stairs, I scared these coworkers like 4 times. I would go down, and then I'd be behind a corner, scare them. Then we go down a little bit more. I'd hide behind the corner, scare them. I'd go down, hide behind the corner, scare them. 4 times probably. It was so funny and messed up for me to do that, and I apologize right now. That's not who I am. That's not who I want to become, and I'm changed. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm done. So I'm sorry to all the people out there that I've hurt And this is a new me. You're looking at a new Sarah Sloan. And I hope you like what you see because I'm not changing. Unless you need me to. All right. I've missed you guys. We need to talk more. If you've seen Columbo, please put it down in the comments and tell me about your experience watching Columbo because I feel like it's a hidden treasure. And the actors on there are amazing. It's just like such good quality. Like they were really innovative too in the camera work and stuff like that, like for the time. And yeah, Columbo's, he's just like so funny. He's like always smoking his cigar and stuff like that. So I think it'd be hard for them to replicate a show like that today. But then they had this little like bonus episode and it was of Mrs. Columbo because he's always talking about his wife, but they never show the wife. And then it looks like it was just like a spin-off kind of a thing. And yeah, there's a reason why it's not ever Mrs. Columbo and it's just Columbo because she was terrible and that show was awful. It was just so boring and dry. Columbo's where it's at. Thank you very much. Can I please have my tip? All right. I'm going to shut up now. Thank you guys for listening. You are awesome. And remember that, please, because I'm trying to tell you positive stuff here.